Good afternoon. Welcome everyone to our last of the financial year. We're talking today in our Work 1 to 15 minute webinar about how to integrate OneNote into your everyday tasks. I'm Kirsty McGrath and I'm the Productivity Specialist at DDLS. So what is it about OneNote that makes it a great way for you to be able to work? Now, as I move through and I change pages, if at any point you cannot see or hear the presentation, then do please just refresh your browser so that you can actually see. You can also press F5 and that will give you the ability to see what's up there. So when we use OneNote to plan, we can actually take notes, we can go surf on the web, we can annotate our documents. You can get in and actually access those notes at a later date if you need to. What we're looking at covering off are things like, along the way, I'm going to show you some keyboard shortcuts. What views will actually help you when you're in your OneNote, when you're working every day. And then how to do things like tagging and searching and why it makes it that little bit easier. Now, don't forget that the one great thing about OneNote is it is actually free across all devices. Microsoft has done a really great job in providing that, making it really easy. So if you've got another device or if you're at home and you want to be able to sync up, then just go to your www.onenote.com and that way you'll be able to make sure you've got it on every device. Now, I use OneNote quite regularly. In fact, that's actually an understatement. I really wouldn't know where I would be if I didn't actually have OneNote to be able to support me in my everyday environment. So I spend a lot of time online. I spend a lot of time within my OneNote, whether it's actually on my device, whether it's and I've got quite a lot of devices. I tend to be sort of this walking machine. I've got both an iPhone, I've got a Windows phone, I've got an iPad mini, I've got a Lenovo X1 Carbon that's touch, I've also got a Surface Pro 3. Now that's just my devices, that's not even the other devices that are actually around in my home. I've got children with devices, I've got co-workers and people that I'm working with, I've got my organisational devices that I'm also working on. So how do I make sure that I can actually get to my notes no matter where I am? Got OneNote, when you actually get it and you've saved it into your Office 365 environment, it means I can pull down the exact same content no matter where I am. So in my Office 365, I have my OneNote, or I can have it saved into my OneDrive. Either or. This one I've actually clicked on my OneNote online, so I'm going into the very specific OneNote that I've actually got attached to this particular personality. As I always say, I've got multiple personalities. I'm demoing Karen today, and I'm Kirsty. So in my note-taking and the way that I actually working is I really try and make sure that if I've got to take a note on anything and I've got to remember anything, it's with OneNote. I end up with really, quite large OneNotes, so I've got to be able to work with it every day. How do I do those sorts of things? Okay, so let's have a look at the views and I will help you out in terms of some of the other ways. So whilst I'm in my OneNote, I'm on my desktop version. Now with your Windows devices, if you do, you can have your app or you can actually have your full application. Your app is a simpler version of your OneNote, so don't get confused between the two. So when I'm actually in my OneNote, what I've got is I've got all my workbooks. Now, I got a lot of workbooks. They're all running down the left-hand side. It's not as easy for me to be able to get to them. I don't want to be clicking to pull down to try and find them. So I'm just going to pin it over on the left-hand side. And that makes it a little bit easier for me to be able to jump to what I want to get to on any given page. So I just make that a little easier. So in those views, and if I'm going to start working, now it depends on where I am and what I'm actually doing. So one of the views I use all the time, because I'm usually taking notes on all sorts of functionality, and this is a training worksheet that I've got here. So in my workbook, I say I might be on the net, like for example, I've actually pulled up a whole heap of websites that's around OneNote just to give you a bit of an idea. I use it all the time when I'm going on holidays. I see sites, I see places that I want, and I go and send it into my OneNote. It's a really easy way. I've had it where I've been doing some construction work, and just recently I've just bought a new car. So I did a heap of research. But how did I collate it all? So rather than me saving all those individual links, I just created some really good workbooks that were specifically around getting in and getting started. So in terms of the view, one of the easier ways is I've got this docket to the desktop up the top here, and Control-Alt-D is your keyboard shortcut to actually be able to dock it to the desktop. Well, what does that actually do? So I'm just going to give myself a new blank page to work with. I'm going to dock it to the desktop, and you'll see now I've got this blank page that's actually running down the outside. So I'm going to do one that's going to be based on my, OneNote notes, for example. I'm talking about OneNote within OneNote. Up the top here, I've got a ton of different places that I can actually go and start doing some research. For example, here is where I would actually go if I wanted to download OneNote to no matter which device I'm actually looking at. And it can be across many different applications as well as your devices. So if it was something that I wanted to keep for later, because I've actually docked it and it's sitting over the right and I'm on that page, I could just start writing some notes, and as long as I'm in Internet Explorer, it will actually recognize. So it could be go here to download OneNote, for example. So here's my link back if I wanted to get in it again. And what happens is it actually links me directly back to that particular page. So instead of me creating a whole heap of favorites that then get lost, I can actually start to collate it a little better. Okay, so I'm just going to close that page. I've got my one page. Now I wanted to find out, what were my what am I new? I could go, I want to put another page in to link back to, for example, or I could just start even copying and pasting information. So say there was some wording that I actually needed. It's like, okay, so I know where to go, but what is it about OneNote that I needed? I'm just going to go do a copy and come over, and then I'm going to do a paste. And when I paste my information over into my OneNote book, not only does it give me the website that I was at, it's linked it down the bottom here as well for me to come back to. So it gives me that really quick and easy way to go back to something that I've actually grabbed. So that's just a click. Okay, copy and paste, these sorts of things, typing within my note. So I use this view all the time. From there, what else do I do? Things like, okay, I need to grab, say I need to grab a diagram. I might go and do something like, I've got my OneNote. A lot of people close this off. They go and turn it off. This is absolutely brilliant tool, and it's got some keyboard shortcuts to go with it. So if you've got a Windows device, you'll see I've got my screen clipping. I've got the two different components that I'm using here. I've got either send this to OneNote, or I can go do a screen clipping. So this is this, surfing the web and how to use the view that's going to be able to help you here. So if I just go, I want to go my Windows key, I'm going to go Shift-S, and then it'll actually use my clipping tool that comes with OneNote, and I can go, I want to grab this information here, and let's go, well, where do you want to put it? And so it says, okay, I'm going to put it into my Karen, and I had it, and I might just drop it into, wouldn't really matter where, so I can go here on maybe my internet links, so I've got it all together. I'm going to send it to the location, or I could just go copy it to the clipboard. I'm just going to go send it to location. So now, here's my page, same thing, linking me back to where I got it, and it's also told me that it's a screen clipping with a date and time. One of the beauties of this is I can always do my copy text from the picture and actually paste it out, because it's got really great OCR recognition. So I do this all the time, and I actually collate all my work together. So this is a bit of office support. So now I wanted to go and find out, well, what are some really cool OneNote features, for example. Now I've just done a search on the web, and look, there's so many really awesome collated information online to be able to support you when you're trying to find out some of the things. So here I am, I've got my sheet. Now, what if I don't want to do it like this anymore? I want to send the whole page, for example. Maybe I want to go back to my normal view. I don't want this view anymore. I can just press my little arrow and it'll extend it back out. One thing you'll find is more often than not your ribbons are actually collapsed. So at any point you can double click and extend them back out again. Let me go back to my internet page. So I've got my 5 cool features, but I want to capture the page. So my keyboard shortcut here, sending it to OneNote, I've got that Windows key, and I'm going to go Windows key, Shift. Helps if I'm on the page. I've come back over. Let's come back here. Just click on the page, and I'm going to go my Windows, select, Windows key, and D, or go select from your list. It's giving it a chance. It's gone into, tried to do too many things at the same time. So it'll give me the ability to be able to go and do that, send the whole page over into my OneNote. Give it a chance. Okay, I've been trying to do an awful lot today. Should have done a restart. So what I can do is send that whole page over, and I often will send a full page. You'll see here I've done it a little earlier. So here's my devices anywhere, anytime. I've sent each individual page. You'll see it's got page 2 of 3, 3 of 3, and it'll pull all the information from the whole page, and it will actually link me back again. Okay, so I've got that link back, and it is in my heading. So that's now come up as a part of my list here to work with. Okay, so it gives you a bit of an idea of how we actually work, and we can surf the web to collate it together. That way, I don't need to keep all these links on how to save time. Now, with the keyboard shortcuts, look, there are lots of keyboard shortcuts. You've got some real quick and easy ones, which is what we've talked about. We've got the Shift key. We've got things like your Control E is your searching functionality. Control period plus your period is your bulleted list. Okay, Control 1, Control 2, Control 3 is headings, a bit the same as if you're in Word. Tabbing, to be able to create Control Tab. Okay, so there's lots in here, and you can also generate some of your own. So these are some of those real note, for example. So I will often use my quick note. I'm just going to have to, I can see it now, I'm just going to have to close that down so I can continue on. So I send to OneNote. Let me just close that tool for a moment. Okay, so if I wanted to use that, or if you're looking for that particular tool, let's go and grab it again. So I'm going to go my Windows key, and I'm going to go OneNote. Now you'll see I've got this send to OneNote, and I can go find it again and bring it back up. So if I'm in here, you'll see my Windows key N gives me the ability to be able to create a new quick note. Because sometimes when the phone rings, for example, I find it much easier if I just go, okay, someone's calling, I'm going to do a new quick note. Okay. And my note will then, let's bring it up again. And it's not going to, it's going over for a new note, Windows N. Bring it up, do it again. Okay, well, click. So my little note, what it does is it puts it into my quick notes tool so that when the phone rings, I can then go, Joe's given me a call. I go 555, it'll be a nice American number. Okay, and what it will do is it actually takes the time down that I took the note, and I can put all my little notes for my phone calls. And it could be, get back to her with top tips for OneNote. So then I close that down. Now, because it's OneNote, it will actually automatically be placed into my quick notes section in my book. So I can go back to it at any point and get all my quick notes. So you'll see down the bottom, here's my quick notes, and there's my quick notes that I'm starting to drop in. And I do this all the time. Okay, so it gives you a bit of an idea, and this is just on one of the books. Okay, so it depends on which book you've got, where you want it to go, which is your priority in terms of building out your information. So sometimes we want to actually tag. Now, if I'm looking at tagging something, that means I'm actually using my tagging features up the top, for example. So I will go in and actually create my tags so that I can come back and search it. Now, I've got a ton of tags, and I've created my own. Because I've got one like here, this is Staff Awards. So I can customize my tags So tags give you another way to be able to search and organise. It's a really efficient way for you to be able to work. So I use these right throughout, and then I create ones that I might actually want and build my own, such as organising flights, for example. And this will be my reminder to organise a flight. And I might just change its colours, for example. So now I've got one called Flight. It's called Control 1, so it's now got a keyboard shortcut assigned to it. Okay, and it could be, for this one, I'll now go Flights in Melbourne for training. So now what I can do is I can come over to the right. I could do a search, or it could just be, give me anything that's got the word Melbourne in it, for example. Or I can do a find tag. So my tag summary, it will now give me my items here. There's my flights, and I would have more notes where it was actually sitting. Staff awards, any of to-dos that I've got that are outstanding. Now this is based on this notebook. However, I can actually search across all my notebooks. You'll see here I can start to do a search, and I can actually drill down in my tags or see just my customized tags and drill into it. So this is some of the quick and easy ways that I will work. I tag an awful lot. That way it makes it much easier for me to come back. I set my Outlook tasks. I use it for my meetings so that when I'm actually over and I'm in a meeting, I've got a joint OneNote that I'm actually sharing with others. That way I don't have to create notes again and again and again. I do it once and we all collate and work together. I use my keyboard shortcuts. I don't just go and look for a car. I collate all my information together into one space. If I'm researching for a seminar, I pull all the information instead of going, I need all of those, and I want to be able to come back to them, or I want to find out where it was originally. It's a really great tool to pull all those functionality back in together, and then I don't have to go hunting in multiple locations for the information that I need. It just pulls it all beautifully together for me. Okay, so let me have a look, and I'm more than happy to answer any questions that have actually come up now, because I can see that there's a few things in here. So one of the questions I've got is, can your emails be linked into OneNote? So your meetings can. When it comes to your actual emails themselves, no, but you can bring your information in. One of the great things about having your meetings linking in is the fact that it will actually bring all those details from that meeting, whether you've come from your link, and you can actually create notes. When it's doing an email, like if I emailed the page, for example, what will happen is it will actually come over and it links that back in your email. If you wanted to, you could drop an email in, because you can bring your objects in, and I do regularly do that. So, but it doesn't actually link necessarily back into your inbox. So there's a little difference between the two. So hopefully that then answers that question. Let me have a look and see what else we have. Okay. So the next question I've got is that they've actually used OneNote to create meeting notes, a bit like what we've actually got here. And it's created the web link up the top. And the question is actually going, look, when you sent it to someone, and especially if it's a book that you actually haven't shared with them, then they're going to be asked to actually log in. Okay? When you actually go and log in, then they're going to be able to access the note. But the thing is, if they're trying to actually access this particular notebook to be able to make adjustments, then you need to make sure that you've actually shared that notebook with the individuals beforehand. So this particular book does have to be shared with someone, and you can do that in a multitude of ways. So I can go right click and I can go share this notebook and invite people in, so that they can actually share it. Now it is a holistic, it's about the actual workbook that you shared. So if you've got particular individuals that you work with regularly internally, you could have it go, well, this is a book for this particular project, so that, when you do your meetings for that team, they can all access those notes. And when you share it with your email and you're sending those notes out, they can click on the link and actually get to it. So that will be a really important component. Now, what I'll often do is if I'm sharing that with someone external, so rather than having them linking back in, I'd actually just take that link out, because if I didn't want it linked back to my workbook, I would just drop that off and have it like just an email with my notes included. Okay? So if it's, if you're looking at, do I have a separate notebook then for the meetings you have with external people, you would actually have it. It would be based on, you might have a project. If you're taking one-off notes, then, you may not want to actually share that particular workbook, or have a workbook based on an organisation that you work with as a partner, for example. Okay, so another question is, we've got here, have Office 365, looking at a version of OneNote, not able to log in and install the free version. Is there a location I can find the version MS will allow me to use? Okay. So if you go to the OneNote.com page, you can pull down OneNote to any device, whether it's your business one or not. Now, it depends on your organisation as to whether you can actually save your OneNote into the likes of something like a SharePoint or a OneDrive. You might have limitations internally as to whether you can actually do that or not. And so, it really does come down to your organisation. Okay, so that gives everyone a bit of an idea. Now, I have had a question in regards to, what is this, but I'm sorry, I'm really not sure what the question is there. I'm more than happy to answer that for you if you can just extend on it a little for me. So I'm just going to stop sharing for now. Now, because we are at the end of the financial year, we will be having a return of the seminars for you all in the new year. We'll take a little bit, we'll get ourselves kicked back off again and running. There'll be a whole new program of work coming down the line. And what I'm going to do is Microsoft will work with you. We will send out invites to those that are already in. You can always keep an eye out on our Work Wonders program online, and there will be more coming soon. I do have a couple more questions that we've got, and let's see, we've got, can OneNote be tasked with a reminder? Absolutely. Thanks for the question. I can come back in. I'll show you how to be able to task with a reminder. Let me just demo that for you. You certainly can. What you will actually need to do is if you're taking a note, and I do this regularly, now you need to have it so that it actually is connecting and you've actually got Outlook, for example. If you don't have Outlook, it's going to make it a little difficult to then give you Outlook tasks. So it could be organise flights to Melbourne for adoption training. Work Wonders, the 25th of July. So say I had something like this. What I've got is an actual task that I need to do. So it could have a to-do list so I can tick it off when it's done. But what I do a lot of the times in my everyday work is I make sure that it's actually on my list for me to be able to work with in OneNote so that I can tick it off as a task, because there's a lot of times where I might be somewhere else. So up the top, I go to my Outlook tasks, and I can do a custom one if I like, and I can actually say, well, when is it I want it started and completed? Otherwise, it will just task it for tomorrow but not have a reminder. So what I generally try and do is I do custom. I'll say a specific date, so I wanted to do that in a couple of days' time because I need to speak to someone else first. And it could be that I assign in the task to someone else, for example. In this, I'm going to set up a reminder so that in 2 days' time at 10:30, before I have my meeting with my manager, it's going to come up with a reminder notice, and I can save and close. Now I've got my little task, and what's going to happen is that will actually flow over into Outlook. So we'll come over into Outlook, go to the tasks, and in my task list, I've now got organised flights. Okay, now whether I tick it here or I tick it over in OneNote, when the job is actually complete, it will flow back through into my OneNote. So I'd give it a moment. Now the same thing is this is all synced and it actually goes online as well. So if I came into here and I was actually looking at my tasks and things like that for my meetings, what will happen is that will all flow through up here as well. Okay, so it will all flow through no matter where I am. So I can pick up my phone and go, I'm on the go and I've now got my meeting and I'm having it. Well, there we go, it's done my tick. And I'm out and about and I say I'm having a phone meeting and I'm doing it while I'm walking to my next one, for example. I go, hang on a second, Gary, I'll just bring up for you. I've got a couple of tasks here I need to ask you about before I'm getting on. And I can even tick them on my phone and say, I've asked him. And it doesn't matter what device I'm on. Okay, so we've got having some issues opening in Server 2012. I'm not sure in terms of how I can actually help you with that. It's getting a little more technical for me. What I can do is I can always see if I can find out that particular issue for you. I gather you're not working on a Windows-based device where it's such as a Windows 8 or a Windows 7. You're working off a Server 2010 in terms of your operating system, and that will be a little bit different. I think I have an understanding of what you're looking at. I'm not sure the actual answer for the solution for you. I'm sorry. The only other thing I can recommend is, OneNote, of course, does allow you to be able to work online. So maybe go to Internet Explorer instead of having the OneNote on your desktop as an application. And, that might help. I don't know if that's giving you an answer there for that question. Okay. I think that looks like most of the answers completed. I'm more than happy to answer any others should they come along. It certainly is free in an Android and iOS as well as online. It's free across all devices and you can just go to the OneNote.com and pull that down. Okay? So if you do have any answers to maybe questions, look, we're there on the User Work Wonders. Maybe you've got any questions or thoughts or comments. If you know how to help around that opening in Server 2012 and you want to put it up there, then do please feel free to come in. I'm more than happy. There's plenty of suggestions in regards to the future programs as well. We do have a feedback loop as a part of the end of our session. One of the great things is you can always come to the Users Work Wonders with Office, okay? And it's at aka.ms/Office Users on Yammer. I'm actually on there. I'm more than happy for you to ask the questions there. You can also go to an email, 0365au2@microsoft.com, and I can answer emails for you there. If you'd like to flick through your server question to the 0365au2, we can certainly see, and I'll see if I can find out for you an answer. Now, don't forget, you can also invite others. There's lots of really great tools. You can go to the Microsoft.com/Australia/work-wonders, and there's the Customer Success Centre through there. And there's a really wonderful amount of information there to be able to support you across the Microsoft suite. Until we meet again in the new year and we've got our new program of work, I really appreciate everyone who's come along and actually joined us in the sessions so far over the last year. It's certainly been an amazing journey and you've all given us some really wonderful feedback. And I look forward to talking to you again all real soon. And until then, thank you very much. Kirsty Barraghi and Microsoft signing off for this year. Goodbye all.